Good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're seeing this. I know I'm not there today, so I left this screencast for the sub to show you so that you can be sure of my expectations for you completing the compare and contrast outline. If you don't have an outline for the compare and contrast paper, they're blue and they're available on the student table next to the radio. Today you're going to need to get your outline, if you do have one, out of your in progress folder or out of the class drawer next to the printer. If you don't have one, get one off of the student table. You will also need something to write with, probably some extra paper because I don't think I left you enough room on your outlines, unfortunately. I apologize for that. And you are going to need a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. The copies of the novel are available on the table at the back of the room. Please be sure to leave your copy back on the table when you're finished. Please stop the screencast so that students have time to gather their materials. I'm going to assume that you've had time to gather your stuff and now you're ready to get started. The first thing I want to do, especially because it's Monday, is to review a little bit for those of you who have not been with us. You need to begin with your attention-grabbing statement. This paper is going to be a comparison of Tom Robinson's trial, his death, the role witness testimony played. You're going to compare that to an actual real-life case, such as those that I have listed on my wall: Tamir Rice, Oscar Grant, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Emmett Till, Jordan Davis, Chavis Carter. All of these are young African-American men who were killed as well. We're going to look at what makes a mockingbird. Remember, we agreed that Tom Robinson is a mockingbird because he was falsely accused, he was judged based on his appearance, and he was trying to help Mayella Ewell, and that kindness ended up getting him into trouble. He was essentially minding his own business, trying to be a good guy, and it went wrong for him. You have to look at the person you want to compare with Tom Robinson in each of those three areas. First, the crime. What were they accused of? And then witness testimony. What role did witness testimony play in the trial that happened after their death? And then their death. And then community reaction to their death. Community reaction to their death. Sorry, I'm talking fast. How did the community react when the young man was killed? We know in Tom Robinson's case that there wasn't any community outcry. People were upset, but they just went to work upset. There were no marches or demonstrations. But then in Trayvon Martin's case, for instance, there was a great deal of protest. And in Michael Brown's case, we know Ferguson, Missouri was out of control for a time. So after you've selected your person and you have your outline, you'll be with the rest of us. That's for those of you who haven't been with us. Those of you who have, you probably have this introduction part done. I'm just going to go through it really quickly for the newbies, okay? Okay. First, you need an attention-grabbing statement. This is something that promotes a reaction in your reader. It can be a question or it can be a statement. I had a student say, Black people are harassed by police every Black people are harassed by police every day. Now that is an attention-grabbing statement. When I see that, I think, oh my goodness. You think, yeah, I've had that experience, or you think, no, I don't think that's been true for me. So it's good. What you want is people to think about what you're going to be talking about. Now it's time for you to get to the overview of the novel. Remember, we said that a good overview has three parts. Do you remember? I know you do. It is the conflict. If you can tell me the problem, okay, you have a good start on telling me the story. Conflict, climax. When did that problem go away? And then resolution. How did it turn out in the end for everyone involved? I'm going to type that below for To Kill a Mockingbird, and yours should look like mine. If it doesn't, put down what I have down, okay? Okay, let's get started. In To Kill a Mockingbird, comma, Harper Lee writes about a black man named Robinson being falsely accused of raping a white woman in Alabama. Tom is killed after he is found guilty of the rape. Ultimately, ultimately, the man that accused Tom of rape is murdered. See? I have the conflict. Tom Robinson's falsely accused of raping a white woman in Alabama. There's the problem. If we didn't have that problem, there would be no story. I have the climax. Tom is killed after he's found guilty of the rape. That's when the problem goes away, right? Because he still has the problem of being falsely accused of that rape even after he goes to jail. It is only when he's dead that the problem is gone. And then we have the resolution. We know that Bob Ewell is murdered at the end by Boo Radley. We don't need to put all of that here, though. We need a real quick and dirty conflict, climax, resolution, and that's what this summary is. Okay. After you've done that, I want you to go ahead and move to section 3 of your introduction. Section 3 is where you talk about the case that you're going to be contrasting or comparing with Tom Robinson. You're going to compare the person that you're looking up as far as the crime they've been charged with, witness testimony, and community reaction to their death. I'll do my example about Tamir Rice, okay? You cannot write what I have. I'm just doing this to show you, so don't try to get tricky. Okay. Tamir Rice was a 12-year-old boy who was accused of waving a gun at people in a park. Witnesses said that the gun was fake, but police killed him anyway. After his death, the community was outraged and held marches in Cleveland, his hometown of Cleveland. Done. See? I have the crime. Tamir was accused of waving a gun at people in a park. I have witness testimony. Witnesses said the gun was fake, but the police killed him anyway. If there was no witness testimony, like in Michael Brown's case, I'd say what the officer said happened. What was it, Darren Wilson? What Darren Wilson said happened. There were witnesses in Emmett Till's case. People witnessed him being pulled out of the house. There were witnesses in, I think, every case for the people that we have on the wall. So that's good, except for Chavis Carter's. His may be a little difficult because all we have is police testimony. Okay. After you have that, after you have told me the crime, the witnesses, what they saw, the role they played in the incident, and then the community reaction, the last thing you need to do for your introduction, because all of this is your introduction paragraph, right? Okay, the last thing you need to do is write your thesis statement. So mine needs to be something just like yours that can apply both to Tom Robinson's case and to the present day case that we're looking at. I'm going to say why does it do that? Mockingbirds remind us that injustice still exists. That's what I'm going to say. So then my whole essay, I'm going to talk about how Tom Robinson's death reminds us that injustice still exists, just like Tamir Rice's death. And you'll see why as I go further along, okay? Still with me? If you need a minute, ask the sub to pause so that you can get your introduction finished. If you have your introduction finished, that means you have numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 complete. All of that is going to be your introduction. Okay. The reason I said that you're going to need extra paper is because you're going to need a rough draft. After we get this outline done, I think I am going to have you write out what you want to say in these body paragraphs because you don't have enough room to expand your thinking on this outline. And that's my fault, but it's still what it is. Okay, so for your topic sentence, let's move on because now we're at our support paragraphs, right? So these are your body paragraphs. There are 3 of them. Let's do the first one together, and if we have time, we'll do the second one together as well, okay? The topic sentence needs to be about Tom Robinson. I know it says right here, what crime did each man commit? But that gets to be a little difficult. What I would rather you do would be to make sure that the topic sentence and quotation are about To Kill a Mockingbird, and then you bring the other person in during the explanation. I'll show you how here, but what I'm going to type is going to be far more than you could fit on an outline if you're really explaining your thoughts. So I want you to take that extra paper, and if you need to use that for overflow, go ahead and do that. I've left extra paper for you on the student table, just so you know. Please do not take all of my notebook paper, Kool-Aid kids, okay? Take what you need and leave the rest for my other classes. Okay. So my topic sentence is going to be Tom, capital T, Robinson was accused of raping Mayella Ewell. I could just as easily say Tom Robinson's crime was being African American in the South in the 30s. But right now, I'm going to say he was accused of raping Mayella Ewell. So what's my quote? I don't have a book in front of me. I'm going to write one that I remember. I said, come here, nigger. Come break up this shiffer robe. That's not a good quote. It doesn't really go to him raping her. Let's see. I turned around and he was just on me. So Lee, and what's the page number? Let's call it 198. I don't know the page number, but you will because you have the book in front of you. I don't right now. Let me make it bigger so you can see. Okay, so I just used my quote, something that shows that he, something from Mayella Ewell's testimony. You could just as easily have used a quote from Bob Ewell's testimony about Tom Robinson raping, but I chose this one. So now the explanation. Mine is going to be a little long because I don't have the notebook paper in front of me to add my extra ideas, so I'm going to type all of mine here. You may start on your outline and then find that for the explanation you run over into that notebook paper, and that's exactly what I want you to do because when we go to type in the library, I need you to have a complete draft together. Understand? Let's get going. For the explanation, I need to explain how Tom Robinson is connected to Tamir Rice. So here's what I'm going to do. Tom Robinson was trying to help Mayella Ewell. She did not have any friends, and she lived in a dump. She took his kindness for attraction. When she tried to seduce him and he turned her down, she was embarrassed and decided to accuse him of rape. The entire town knew Tom was innocent, but they still made him stand trial. This is just like what happened to Tamir Rice. Tamir was a kid playing with a toy gun that his friend had given him. The 911 tapes have callers telling the police that he is a little kid and that he is probably playing with a toy. Still, they treated him like an adult with a gun. Neither Tamir nor Tom received fair treatment. Because remember, I have to connect it back to my thesis statement. My thesis statement says mockingbirds remind us that injustice is still around, right? Something to that effect. So I've got to go back to how was their treatment unjust? That's what I'm doing now. I've given you a little background in my explanation. Now I got to bring it on home. Neither Tamir nor Tom received fair treatment. Tom was made to stand trial because he was young and black. I believe that Tamir was killed for the same reason. Had both boys been white, they probably would have received different outcomes. See? Now mine is long. Look at all of that, right? I don't want you to write down what I have word for word, but I want you to do this kind of explanation on your body paragraph 1 about the crime. You remember to connect Tom to the person that you're researching and make sure that it all goes back to your thesis statement. Make sure that every single paragraph you are backing that thesis back up. Do you understand? Everything you do goes back to that point. Let's do body paragraph number 2 together, and then I will see you tomorrow, okay? Body paragraph 2 has to deal with witness testimony, right? So we know that witness testimony sent Tom to jail in To Kill a Mockingbird. Witness testimony in Tamir Rice's case still wasn't enough to get the police officers indicted for murder. Let's get that down. Here we go. Mayella Ewell and her father both said that Tom Robinson raped her, though I need to stop there because we're talking about witness testimony. Okay, so now I need to have a quote. I'm going to take one from Henry Bob Ewell. Okay, here we go. I saw that nigger rutting on my Mayella. Lee, I have no idea. 165. Maybe that's the page number. Don't forget to put the author's last name and page number. I like to use the quote that has offensive language in it because remember, my paper is about injustice, so I need the reader to understand Bob Ewell's racist mindset. I don't want you to think that this word is okay or that I'm saying it is. I'm saying it's an example of the way he was thinking and the reason for Tom Robinson's poor treatment. Okay. So we have my quote. Now let's go down to the explanation. Remember, this is again where I'm comparing Tom Robinson to Tamir Rice. So here we go. Bob Ewell was an irresponsible drunk who beat and molested his daughter. The entire town of Macomb knew about him and his habits, but because he was white, they believed him over Tom Robinson. After Mayella and her father testified, it was almost certain that Tom was going to die. Tamir Rice was profiled because he was black as well. The callers let the officers know that he was just a kid. He was clearly playing on a playground. And the officers had histories of using excessive force with the public. Still, because Tamir's parents had criminal histories, and he was black, and he was not wealthy, the officers got off with killing him. This is further proof, because I got to go back to my thesis about injustice, that mockingbirds still exist. Tom Robinson's trial took place in the 1930s. Tamir was murdered last year, and both for the same reason, being black and in the wrong place at the wrong time. See how long that is? Right, that's a whole lot of explanation. It probably looks much bigger because of my font size. The point is, I'm explaining their connection and going back to my thesis statement. That is what, see, look, mockingbirds remind us that injustice still exists. What I need you to do is to make sure that you do the exact same thing. When I see you Tuesday, I need you to have your outline with your introduction, body paragraph 1, and body paragraph 2 completed. Again, if you need extra paper, I already have that on the student table. Take what you need, put the rest back, because I do have other students who come in after you. I want you to staple it to the back of your outline if you need to, and if you need the sub to play this screencast again for you, I'm sure they will. If you have any questions whatsoever, anything that you need to know, please feel free to shoot me an email. It comes right to my phone. Think of it like texting me. I'm going to put it here. My email is markiat@hickmanmills.org. Okay? I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I trust that you are doing your very best today. Let me know if you have questions, and watch this again if you need to. Bye-bye.